Hello there, beautiful souls, beautiful humans. Welcome to the solstice and full moon in Capricorn energy update for star seeds. And I am going to say that word again, star seeds. Now, you might not think you're a star seed, but guess what? Star seeds are actually making it into the mainstream. And I'll explain a little bit more about that in a minute. But if you find yourself considering you're an empath, a highly sensitive person, a light worker, someone who's here to help in the ascension of humanity, then, my dear, I do believe that you are one form or another of a starseed. That means, from my perspective, that your soul consciousness and your human self fused when you were actually conceived. They were both there at the same time. Now, I'll tell you a little story about this because it's very much around how the energies presently, as we're coming into the solstice, the full expansion of light in the northern hemisphere, the darkest day in the southern hemisphere. It's all about us being able to dig super deep, see what's really in the way of us actually actualizing the things that we desire, and then what we can actually do to help bring it all to light and accept the parts of us that we don't accept so we can have the breakthroughs that we desire. Now, the full moon is actually on Saturday. It's the first full moon in Capricorn. And then we have another Capricorn on the 21st of July, another Capricorn full moon. So 2 Capricorn full moons designed to make sure that we absolutely get the lessons we need to. We get the message, we get the memo, so that when we come to the Lion's Gate and the next full moon, which will be in Aquarius in August, we're able to really step into the 5D paradigm. We're able to step into the frequencies of being in the new Earth paradigm that I call Paradise Earth. Now, you may or may not know that I am the founder of the Star Peace Movement. This has come through me. I am also a psychic soul coach. I'm a multidimensional mentor and coach, sacred union coach. And really what I'm here to do is to connect people to their soul consciousness and to the concept of the Thrive paradigm. So every one of us can go through a rewiring and upgrade in our circuitry from survival programming, survival circuitry, sympathetic nervous system dominance, to parasympathetic nervous system dominance, to allowing ourselves to no longer be fueled by stress, but actually fueled by love, fueled by oxytocin, the hormone that allows us to tend and mend, feed and breed, and basically look after ourselves, self-generate. So I was actually looking back. I took a little longer today to get this live going because I was looking back to find what I had written about the solstice in December and also what I'd written about the solstice last year in terms of June and where I am on this journey. Because if you are not yet doing this, I highly recommend that you do have your check-in points. If you don't keep a journal, keep a solstice and equinox journal, if nothing else, and just check in with where you are in terms of your intentions and also what has materialized every equinox and every solstice. So that way you can actually see where you are. And if you're a follower of my work, you'll know that I tend to do things around the new moon and the full moon, because these are like the bookends, if you like, that allow us to see where we've come from and where we're going to. So we've just had the new moon in Gemini. That was about 10 days ago. And, you know, with the energy of Gemini, it's very much mind energy. It's always about what story are you going to feed. It's nervous system energy. And it's almost like we revisit an old story and we look at the perspective shift, whether we're actually growing and therefore going into a spiral of joy, or whether we're holding on to old narratives, old stories that are taking us into a spiral of doom. And here's my particular take on this. So 3 years ago, I ended up featured in the Daily Mail along with my lovely husband, Ian, and 3 other couples. And this was the start of this conversation about star seeds in the world. What is a star seed? Where have we come from? What is it all about? You know, are there aliens walking among us? Because we love movies about aliens, but the idea that actually extraterrestrials could be walking this earth seems to be very scary for people. Move on. At that point, I got invited onto a TV show for Channel 4, and it looked like it was all going to go ahead until the last minute, and then boom, got pulled. It was actually The Matrix said no. That's literally what the producer said to me. It was not the time to run the story. There was concern that it just, yeah, it was going to be a bit of an issue, legal terms, all that kind of thing. So they just didn't run it. And I would have been on the show with someone else. Roll on 3 years, and I didn't know it, but last week, just as I am completing the final pages of my Star Peace Star Maps book, they rerun the Daily Mail story online and they make our feature the front cover. Next thing I know, I've got a lovely journalist friend contacting me saying, hey, this morning I want to speak to you. Are you interested in going on the show? I'm like, of course, synchronicity. Why wouldn't I? This sounds amazing. Well, guess what happens? We get to the same point again. So same story, going to go along on the Monday. It's all planned for it. And then on the Sunday, last minute, sorry, we're still going to run the feature, but you're not going to be on it. We haven't got enough time to feature you both. So we're just going to feature the other lady. I'm like, okay, what's this all about? What is it bringing up for me? How is this actually playing out? What's going on? Is it the same old story? Because no, it isn't. Things have shifted. Now, it's all about the lens you see things through, because, you know, what it brought up for me was disappointment. It then also brought up other elements for me to actually step into, like, have I dodged a bullet? Was that actually what I wanted it to be? You know me, you know my mission is Star Peace. And it was really a lesson in how I actually look at this, and whether I do end up going down a spiral of doom, whether I'm able to meet myself in my truth and help myself see things from a different perspective, because everything is coexisting. It's all about the story you tell yourself. It's all about whether you meet your own internal resistance. And that's what the solstice is all about, bringing to light where you are not fully in alignment with what you say you desire, where you're not fully in alignment with what you want to actualize, where words and actions are not aligning, and where there is a part of you that perhaps you are not accepting yet, that it is important for you to accept. Core wounds come up with the solstice. Is it rejection? Is it abandonment? Is it betrayal? Those tend to be the ones. And then, of course, there are key emotional states that get played out as a result of this. Now, when we have tools to work with these frequencies, and we know that what is for us will never go past us, we're able to take things not going the way we intended or expected them to go, and to just trust in the perfect unfolding. And this is what's leading me into the full moon in Capricorn, and why I'm hosting the full moon Capricorn healing activation and also solstice celebration on Friday, just ahead of the full moon. Friday the 21st, I believe it is. Yeah, 7 p.m. BST. That is going to be 2 p.m. EST or ET, and then 11 a.m. Pacific time, to be able to honor this transition point for us, to be able to allow us, one, to hold the energy of success and celebration and see what is really materializing in our lives, and at the same time to be able to overcome the challenges that are holding us back. So what are the emotions that have been coming up? What are the beliefs that have been coming back? Where do you feel like you're stumbling rather than flowing? Because this is the time we get to do the deepest work, my friends. We are just before the Lionsgate. We've got a Sirius portal, the 2nd to the 7th of July, and I'll make a separate video about that. But after that, we have Lionsgate. And for me, the Lionsgate portal opens on the 7th of July. The 7th to the 10th of August, 8th to the 12th of August is when the peak of Lionsgate is, particularly the 8th of August. And that's when I'm going to be hosting a global pre-recorded meditation for those of you who would like to participate in adding your energy to co-creating a new reality, because we're being given all this opportunity. But with the solstice, we are being given the opportunity to purge that which is in the way, that which we cannot take with us. Because if you are heading towards something that is new, if you are a trailblazer, if you are co-creating a new reality for yourself, and by virtue of that, the world, those around you, then, you know, you can't take with you your old poor me stories. You can't take with you anything that's going to be pulling a pity party. And, you know, what's important isn't to reject these parts of you. It's actually to bring them in to the fold, listen to them, hear what they're saying, and help them rewrite their narrative, help them rewrite their story, help them rewrite the situation. So for me, I ended up checking out the piece that was on this morning, and I highly recommend you do too, because Kelly did an absolutely great job of explaining what star seeds are. And herself, she is a walk-in, so she had a different experience to me, because I was born a star seed, and basically my story is different. I'm not going to say too much about it, because I know that the opportunity is going to come up again for me to share that in a more public way. And ultimately, for me, the key thing is to share the message that every one of us can activate our soul consciousness. Every one of us can actually awaken to the fact that there is an element of starseed in us all. If you're resonating, you will be able to actually know that this is something that can get activated in your heart. It's the divine spark, the soul consciousness, that allows all of us to evolve beyond just being automatons, controlled without realizing we're being controlled, just like the Matrix, and actually making some conscious choices about the reality that we want to create. So for me, in meeting my own true emotions, in not sugarcoating how I felt, in allowing myself to go through the process of feeling what was there, that has allowed me to then come to a place to say, well, what's the story that I'm going to tell here? What's the story I want to tell myself? And I know what for me doesn't go past me. I know my time is coming. I know that everything is being set up at the moment to be able to have the most exponential impact, because that's what I desire. I desire to have the most, what's the word? The most graceful, easy, and joyful way of expressing my gifts in this world, which is what I share with my clients. And also to have the biggest impact possible with my messaging. So, you know, when you set yourself big goals, okay, they are going to require the structures to be in place in order for you to then be able to actualize in this physical reality that which you intend. And that is why you're getting a taste now as we're in this beautiful solstice energy, which is tomorrow, right? Tomorrow is effectively the longest day of the year in the Northern Hemisphere. It is the shortest day of the year in the Southern Hemisphere. So everything starts to shift. And most people think this is the start of summer in England or in the Northern Hemisphere, but actually it's the peak of summer. Good news is we've still got July and August to actually have some summer, and hopefully we will have a later summer too. But the main thing that is important for us to get here is with this Capricorn full moon energy that's actually kind of above the solstice energy or working with the solstice energy. It's really to illuminate those places where we are required to rewrite our narrative so that we can actually have what we say we want. And it's about truly believing in yourself. It's about knowing that you have got a unique part to play. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions because I'd like to prepare you for Friday. And the first question I'm going to ask you is, have you actually participated in the free masterclass, the Father Wind masterclass that I shared with the new moon? So it was last Monday, I believe it was, not the one that we just had, with the biggest sign-up rate we've ever had for this particular masterclass. Obviously, it was near Father's Day. I did the Mother Wind near Mother's Day for the same sort of reason. And I think it's so important you recognize, we all do, that Father, Mother energy is really how we connect to the divine. And our relationship with our mother and our father really tells us a lot about our relationship with receiving, with allowing ourselves to receive, with feeling safe to receive. So please take advantage of these free masterclasses, because this is how I get to share with you much more about how I work, the insights that I have, the way that you get activated just by being in my presence. And then the next invitation is to a low-cost event like the full moon activation and healing. And in fact, it is a world service, but the way it works as a world service is that you do the deep inner work for you. Your inner frequency shifts, and as a result of that, so does your outer frequency. As we change our view of the world around us changes, and I absolutely live by that. So, you know, now that we have the conversation about starseeds in the mainstream, it's actually happening. It's been in the mainstream newspaper, it's been on a mainstream TV show. It's only going to grow more and more and more. We're going to learn more and more about what it actually means. So from my perspective, it means being heart-centered, soul-activated human, because the truth is no one is really from this planet, okay? Maybe you believe that all humans have evolved from apes. Okay, if you do, that's fine. I personally don't, and I believe we're all hybrids on some level. Okay, I believe that on some level, what's happening is we have had some kind of connection with, if you like, other forms of life in our universe, maybe even beyond our universe. And as souls, we haven't just lived as humans, we have experienced other lifetimes. And you could even say that everything's happening multidimensionally in this now moment. Most of this is like way too unfathomable. So what's the relevance? What matters? Why would you even care if you're a starseed? Let me tell you. We can either have life happen to us, which is part of us growing in our soul consciousness, or we can start to participate with life and allow ourselves to roll with the prevailing winds, harness the energies that are available, and therefore do our absolute best to co-create the best possible circumstances out of the cards we've been dealt. Okay, I can spend my whole life arguing about the cards I've been dealt, or I could just go, right, this is my reality, this is what's here in my life, what's the best I can actually do with this? And that is the point of power we all have. There are several stages of awakening. I did a post the other day about victim consciousness and how that is a stage of awakening. It's the first stage of awakening. Then we come into empowerment. So empowerment, to surrender. This is the work that I work with my clients to do, is firstly to teach them how to co-create reality consciously, also to become aware of what's in our control and what isn't in our control. Because those of you who get into manifesting, that get into law of attraction work, it's easy to believe that we can control everything, but we can't, and we're not here to. That's not the point of this. It's actually about being able to take lemons and make lemonade. It's about being able to enjoy the most amazing moments of our lives and really focus on energizing them to support us to flow through the most challenging moments in our lives, because we are here to grow. Okay, when we choose physical bodies, we're here to grow. And the gift of these 2 Capricorn full moons that are coming up are really to help us to see where we're getting in our own way, where we're not accepting ourselves, where we're stubbornly holding onto old narratives, where we are holding on to old ideas about who we are, and therefore what is available to us and what we're allowed to experience and what we're not. And all the while we're fearful of rejection, abandonment, and betrayal, we're going to be blocking the flow. We're going to be blocking our capacity to truly be seen, heard, experienced, witnessed, appreciated, and judged. And you know, many of us are fearful of judgment. For so many of us that are here to help in the ascension of humanity today, we're holding the memory of the fact that in previous lifetimes it didn't work out too well for us when we did share truth. Okay, when we did share truth about not just being physical humans, but actually having soul consciousness about us. So I am cordially inviting you to 1, catch up with the Father Wound Masterclass if you haven't already. 2, book yourself a desire mapping call if you would like to know more about how you can get soul activated, about how you can create a bridge from where you are to where you want to be, about how you can actually stop recreating the stories of the past that get wrapped up differently all the time. They look like they're different, but actually when it comes to it, it's the same story you're playing again and again. And I can't tell you how many times people come to me and they say, but I've done all this work already, Rosie. What am I going to get from working with you? And I'm like, you haven't done this. You know, just because you might have looked at your birth story once, just because you might have done some inner child work, just because you are qualified in X, Y, Z, and you do these things and that for others, and that's all great. If for you, you are finding that you do not have a safe space to really look deeply into the places where things are just too scary to go, that's when you call on someone like me, because I'm here to hold your hand and shine the light and support you lovingly, persistently, kindly, and compassionately to go to those places that you would otherwise avoid like the plague, because that's where the breakthroughs are. And this is exactly why I choose the coaches I do to support me to move through the places that are too difficult for me to go through on my own and I would otherwise avoid. We all do this, okay? We are creatures of comfort. We want to go where it feels nice, and we're scared to go where we don't know what's going to happen. And yet, you know what? Everything you want that you haven't got is not where you are now. It's on the other side. So let's make the most of the beautiful energy of the solstice to bring endings and beginnings. Same with the full moon, endings and beginnings. What are you ready to release? Well, I'm ready to release the concept of, you know, feeling like somehow my time's never going to come because it's already here. I wrote a book. It got published last week. I haven't got it in my hands yet, but that book will be in my hands on Friday. This is ahead of when I intended because I wanted to have it in my hands by the solstice, and I will. Okay, now what happens next with it, we will see. But basically, I have a longer term plan with it. And so it's not all going to happen just like that overnight. It's about having a structure in place and going through the process of following that structure and meeting resistance where it shows up every step of the way, because it will show up. And the difference between people who succeed and people who don't succeed is whether or not they actually just keep going or whether they look for an excuse to give up. And trust me, everyone wants to give up just before the breakthrough. So it's how do you stop yourself giving up? You're allowed to have duvet moments, duvet days even. You're allowed to throw your toys out the pram. You're allowed to have meltdowns and go, oh, it's never going to happen. It's all part of the process. It's all part of the fun. So let's just see what I haven't said. What I would love to make really, really clear for us is that we can all have a much more graceful, easy, and joyful experience of fulfilling our soul mission here on this earth, or we can basically feel like we're being like literally thrown down by a tsunami every time we get an ascension energy coming through, because there's only going to be more and more ascension energies coming through. The old world is crumbling, my friends. The new world, the structures have been built around the old world, and the old world is being dismantled. So it's not going to be the same in 20 years' time or even in 10 years' time. Things are moving so quickly right now. Look at where we'll be in a year's time, 2 years' time from now. Things are changing so quickly that it's very easy to just like feel, well, I don't know what's going on. Just want to dig your head in the sand and ignore it all happening. But it's changing for the best. So what do you want out of this? From this new full moon, when we have this full moon in Capricorn on Saturday, the next full moon in Capricorn, which is going to be a month later, is really going to be about what you've done with this story. What have you done with this stuff that has come up? So if we are to harness the energy of this upcoming portal, which is the Lionsgate portal 888, which this year is super powerful because of the numerology of 2024, then again, it's about being able to expand our energy field and expand our own structures in such a way that we can actually receive what we say we want. So that means we have to stretch into the new version of ourselves. Okay, that means we need to stretch and expand and allow ourselves to have the capacity to receive what we want. So where is lack showing up in your life? Because for me, the theme of this full moon that is coming, the first one, is healing the deepest wound, the deepest patriarchal wound that affects all of us, which is the wound of lack that manifests as greed. And this is what I've seen time and again. The super wealthy, the wealthy and the super wealthy, so many of them are actually just operating from a lack wound. Doesn't matter how much they have, it's not enough. And actually, wherever you are on your journey with resource, if you feel like you didn't have enough of your needs being met when you were younger, then it's going to show up somehow in your life. It's going to show up in your relationships. It's going to show up in your relationship to your health. It's going to show up in your finances. It's going to show up in opportunities. It's going to show up in soul purpose. So where is lack showing up in your life? What were you told about greed as a child? What were you told you were greedy for? Were you ever told you are? I mean, I'm astounded that some of the people that are in my inner circle were having this discussion about how, their father treated them. And one of them was talking about the fact that, they seemed to always get what they wanted, that there was very little sort of restriction. It wasn't that they weren't boundary, but like their father would do their best to actually support them to have what they want. And the way that this person took this on was that they were spoiled, that they had been spoiled by their father. And, the way I took it was really that actually what's coming from this is that if you believe you can ask for what you want and you're going to receive it, doesn't that make it much easier for you to receive? Doesn't mean it all comes just like that. We still have to work for it, as in there are still things we need to put in place. If I say I want to be a doctor, I'm not going to suddenly just be a doctor without going through the training of being a doctor, right? Yeah, I have to go through the training of it, but I can still be a doctor. So there's a really big difference between a paternal figure saying to you, well, of course you can be a doctor. I'm very happy to support you to be a doctor. Here are the things that you're going to need to do in order to have your best chance to be a doctor, versus someone going, you, a doctor? I don't think so. You're not clever enough. You're not going to put the work in. You're not committed enough. We don't have the money to support you. Sorry, you're not going to be able to do that. This is the kind of thing I'm talking about, okay? So what I would love you all to do is just to open your hearts to the fact that however you are feeling right now, trust that it's happening for you, not to you, okay? If you are experiencing any form of core wound coming up, this is telling you where there is a narrative rewrite to actually be made. And this is why, again, I want to remind you of the Lionsgate container and 3-night luxury retreat that I have put in place for those of you who are feeling the call, the leaders, the trailblazers, the visionaries, the way showers of the new earth, those of you who, show up as I do, and it's hard to show your vulnerability somewhere. It's hard to admit the challenging moments you have. It's hard to reveal what really can go on behind closed doors, because people are counting on you. They look to you, they're inspired by you, they want to have a confidence in being led by you. And if you have a lack of confidence because of stuff that's going on for you, sometimes it can feel really hard to show up, and my heart goes out to you. Okay, none of us are here needing to be some kind of perfect version of ourselves. We just need to be real. So as I shared with you in my example, it's like, if we truly believe that what's for us will never go past us, if we truly believe in aligning with the highest good of all and the win-win-win, and every opportunity that comes to us, we surrender the attachment to outcome, we hold it lightly, and we say, what could be better than this? What could be better than this? I watched the show, and I'm like, this was brilliant, beautiful setup. Here we have a conversation about a walk-in. Now there's all these other conversations that can be had about star seeds too. And we can start to really bring this into the mainstream and it become normal, common conversation. Because if you actually think about religion, isn't religion, every religion, regardless of what that religion stands for, whether it's an Eastern or a Western style religion, whether it's patriarchal or not, isn't it all about our connection to the divine? We could say it's all about control, controlling the masses through fear, through, the promise of an afterlife if they're good here. But wasn't it actually really about a connection with the divine? I think to me, that's the most common denominator in all forms of spirituality and religion. And this is why I'm so passionate about Star Peace, because regardless of the different ways we go about it, regardless of the different beliefs that humanity might have about the way forward, are we all in agreement that we would like to evolve beyond war and conflict and stress and struggle as being the norm on our planet? Would we like to actually be able to come to a place where everyone has plenty, whatever that means to you? Plenty, not just enough, plenty, a plentiful supply. Do we all agree that we want peace? If you're watching this, please do put hashtag Star Peace and let me know that yes, you do agree. Because for me, I do this out of the love of it, right? This is what I do. This is what I show up to do. I support those who are ready to make the internal shift themselves from being fear-based to trusting and being love-based, to knowing that, yes, we can co-create our reality consciously, to know not everything is in our control, but the things that are, we can take responsibility for, and the things that are not, we can align with the highest good and we can intend the best outcomes for all. And just because we shift our perception of a situation, we shift our experience of it, and therefore we shift our reality. Okay, because as you change your view of the world around you changes. Perception is reality, imagination is reality. I think I'll be saying this for the rest of my life, but ultimately we shift things through our perception, and the density on this planet is clearing. It's clearing because those of us who are showing up to do the deeper work, like when you come along to my full moon co-creations, which are the activations and the healings, you are clearing density, you are setting intention, and you are raising your frequency so you can have a sense of what it feels like to be in that new frequency. So if you'd like to bring with you the stuff that's been coming up as you've been building up to the solstice, which is tomorrow, join me on Friday and let us work with the intention. I am the embodiment of my dreams coming true. Would you like to align with that? Would you like to be the embodiment of your dreams coming true, whatever that might be? I asked myself the question, what could be better than this? Whatever it is that's going on, what could be better than this? This opportunity that's come my way that now seems to not be on the table. What could be better than this? What's it going to be replaced with? Open, positive anticipation. Or am I going to go into, oh no, here we go again. See this, what patterns are you feeding? This is the point I'm giving you. Okay, because the Gemini energy that we've just been through with the new moon, we're now, where are we, 19th, we're nearly in the energy, or fully in the energy of Cancer, is like everything's coexisting. So what are you going to feed? Which is the voice you're going to feed? Are you going to overly energize the density, or are you going to acknowledge the density and bring it to the light? Because this is the difference, and this is where I see people go wrong. We end up feeling like we need to ignore the stuff that's difficult to feel because we don't want to energize it. But the truth is you can't move past it until you own how you really feel. Then you can bring it to the light. All the while you're ignoring or suppressing, like we were told to suppress the virus. That's not going to work, is it? All the time we're told to suppress something, it is always going to have power over you. So bring to light your shadow. Bring to light all of the stuff that feels like it's not enough. You're not enough. You're too much. You're this, you're that. Everything's not acceptable. Just bring it. What are you not accepting in you? Because the bits of you don't accept will persist. So listen to all the voices, bring them. Bring your celebrations. I want to know, what are you celebrating? What do you want to activate in your life? Because we will activate that intention. I am the embodiment of my dreams. My deepest desires coming true. My truest dreams coming true. I'm the embodiment of this. And then we're going to clear up resistance to it by clearing up the energy of greed, the energy of lack that we perceive in the collective. So what I'm going to invite you to do is to bring all of those figureheads you love to hate on and judge, whoever they may be. And we all have some. Many of them are men, but they could be women. They could be theys, not men or women. Well, actually, that's not fair. That's not what I mean. What I mean is the energy of them could be masculine. The energy of them could be feminine. But ultimately, what we want to do is we want to take lack out of everything. All right. So for me, what that means is anywhere I've got a judgment, I want to bring light to it. I don't want it to be something I'm denying. And I want to intend the highest good for the whole world, including myself. So if you want to join me with that, all the links will be in the text box. The link to the Father Wound Masterclass, the link to joining me for the full moon celebration, solstice celebration, and full moon healing and activation, and also the link to the Lion's Gate container and portal. Because if you're interested in that, I've got a couple of spaces left. I really want to invite you, please, to show up now. It's all about booking calls and having a chat with me. That's all it is, okay? What you do with that is up to you. But you want to do Lion's Gate, there's a Lion's Gate call to book. You just go onto the page and you'll know how to do that. If you would like to find out more about how you can work with me after you've done the Father Wound, then please book the design mapping call and I'll put that link for you. And then otherwise, I'll see you in my Zoom room on Friday at 7 p.m. UK time, BST, so that we can actually cultivate the energy of celebration, clear up the density, clear up the hating on, the judging, the lack, the greed, and imagine a world together where greed does not reign supreme anymore. Wouldn't that be beautiful? Are you up for that? Would you like to do that? Because I would. Okay, I'm really, really up for that. And, you know, when I consider the impact of the world that we're co-creating together, it is about focused intent. It's about showing up together. The more of us can gather together at the same time, live ideally, so we know we're all gathering in real time, we're holding the higher frequency together, then the more we can have an impact on the collective. That's why I have this global meditation plan for the 8th of August, as well as the portal in terms of the container and the retreat. And I also have something else very exciting I'm going to share with you all, but I will do that on the full moon. And so you'll need to come and join me for that. Now, remember, this is a small investment for this beautiful healing. It's £22.22 or £11.11. You can always pay more if you like. 50% of the proceeds, actually, the profits go to grassroots efforts that are either preventing or healing trauma so that we no longer pass it on in the collective. That's it for now. I would love to know how you're receiving this. I feel like I've said everything I need to. Oh, it's about taking radical responsibility. So these full moons in Capricorn are about taking radical responsibility for ourselves, for what we want. Okay, I said this, I did touch on it a little bit earlier. What that actually really means is if you are finding that things are not going the way that you're intending, if you are finding that, you know, you've landed a set of cards that you're like, what was that all about? Why did I get these? You can keep focusing on the why, or you can say, what am I going to do with it? Okay. And the work is always inside first. So I will leave that with you. Thank you very, very much for the comments. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the shares. If you're on YouTube as you're watching this, thank you for subscribing. Let me know what you want more of. And if you haven't yet checked out that Bruce Lipton interview, that's at the top of my Facebook page and also it's on the top of my YouTube channel, please do, because that man's an absolute genius. I'm super excited to be seeing him on Saturday because he's in the UK with the Honeymoon Effect. I believe there may still be some tickets left. So if you do want to join us in London on the 22nd, please do check out brucelipton.com and you will see where you can get tickets, and I'll see you there. For now, I'll see you on Friday, 7 o'clock. Remember to book and don't leave it last minute. Link's going to be here in a moment. Lots of love. Take care for now.